This was the last great act of conservation that I was able to do. By the time of my second term, there was some, I think, Roosevelt fatigue in the Congress. I had been so energetic and had come on like a freight train or a series of freight trains, and they were getting a little tired of this. And under the Timber Act, I was able to set aside national forests, and I had been doing a great deal of it. In the course of my administration, I set aside 150 million acres of national forest, quite a bit of it, by the way, here in Arizona, plus national monuments in Arizona. But some of the timber interests got to some senators from the Northwest, particularly one Charles Fulton of Oregon, and said, Roosevelt is a menace, he's locking up the West, he's making it impossible for us to profit, can't you stop him? And so Fulton, who was wholly in bed with these terrible timber barons, put a rider on a routine appropriation bill that said no new national forests in 6 northwestern states, one of which was Oregon. That would have put me in a straitjacket, but I had to sign that bill because it was a rider on an essential appropriations bill. And if I didn't sign that bill, the government of the United States would have had to shut down. And so I was between a rock and a hard place. I did not want to give up this power that had been granted by a previous Congress to the president to design forests, to set aside forest reserves. And so I got my U.S. forester, Gifford Pinchot, a close friend of mine, in, and I said, we have 10 days between the moment I get this law and when I have to sign it, which I must. But during those 10 days, we can designate some more forests, and we did. And these became known as the midnight forests. I think there were more than 12 million acres of them around the country, and some of it in those 6 northwestern states. And in fact, in Oregon, I added some acreage just to make this Charles Fulton unhappy. And my goodness, he was unhappy, but I had a presidential right to do so up until the day that I signed that bill, and I made the most of it. If I hadn't had to sign that bill, I would have done more before I left office in March of 1909.